Okay, so we've talked a little bit about what Search Console is, right? It's kind of the command center that you use to communicate with Google. We've installed it. There's a number of different ways to install it. Now let's actually dig in and take a look at how this works. So if you've just installed it for the first time, you won't have any data yet. It'll take a little bit of time to populate some data, but we're gonna go through each of these sections next and talk about how you can use a lot of this stuff. Everyone's view on Search Console is going to be a little bit different. So in general, the larger your site is and the more traffic you have, the more features you get. Right? So on the left-hand side, if you have less traffic than this example, you might have a few fewer features, right? You might not have the mobile usability feature. If you have more traffic or you have more stuff enabled, like let's say you have AMP, accelerated mobile pages, on your pages, you'll have an AMP feature. If you have enough traffic to get the Discover feature, which we'll talk about a little bit later, you'll get that added. So this might not look exactly the same for you, but just bear with me because the core features are all the same. We're gonna use a side project of mine in this case, just kind of a test dummy site to try this out and get going. It doesn't have a ton of traffic. We haven't updated it in years. It's a project called Course Minded. It was an online course on how to teach online courses. How meta is that? I had so much fun with this project, but we haven't really updated it. We're not working on it anymore, but we can still use this site and take a look at the data. So first you'll be dropped into the dashboard here. And again, yours might look a little bit different based on whether or not you have more or less traffic than this site. But in general, all the sections you see map over here on the left-hand side as well. So we have performance here. You can see performance. Coverage is here, you can see coverage, and then enhancements down here, and you can see enhancements. So we can jump into performance in either way by either clicking open report or clicking down here. Both will take you to the same place. Performance in general is where you will spend the most time. And this will be sort of what you'll be looking at the most. It defaults you to total clicks and total impressions, and this is kind of everything that you are getting to your website. You can add new levels of data overlaid and take a look at all of them. You could also remove them, right? And so it starts to get pretty messy if you keep them all on. I like to just look at them one at a time. Right, so I have my total clicks, I have total impressions, my average click-through rate, and then average position. We'll just bring back up clicks. You can also change a number of different filters up top. So you can go web, image, or video. You can go to image. I doubt we have much image traffic. Right, one click. Same thing, impressions, CTR, and position. It's gonna really depend on your business and what you're doing. Could switch to video if we want. We can also compare over a certain amount of time, right? Web versus images. Right, not a lot registering on the image side there. Just switch back to web. The default timeline is 3 months. You can go all the way up to 16 months, which is kind of cool. It didn't used to always be this way, but you can. And you can change this to any date you want, right? So 3 months is the default. You can also compare. Compare last 3 months to the previous period. So there you go. You can kind of take a look at traffic. This is can be really helpful to look at growth, right? So the last 90 days versus the 90 days before that in this example. 28 days year over year. So how much growth over the last year. Right, and so this is, again, a dummy site. It's really not all that useful to look at the actual data, but just kind of showing you the features here. So we'll turn that back to the last 3 months. Now there's a bunch of additional filters up here, and you can also get all of these filters down here as well. So they do the same thing. It really just comes down to preference, but we'll play with these first. So these are individual things that people are searching for. So we actually have a number of people looking for this product. Okay, so over the last 3 months, 39 people have typed in Course Minded and clicked on CourseMinded.com with that term. And again, we can overlay all this data if we want. This is a branded search, so obviously the click-through rate is very, very high. If you want to remove that keyword, you can just go up to Query and remove it. So here's one that's interesting. This is, so Udemy, right there, an online course platform. I remember writing a blog post about my revenue and how it was associated with Udemy, it looks like that was actually pretty popular. Didn't even realize this. And so we can take a look. 143 people have clicked over the last 90 days with this term. And we can dive in. So you see whenever I click that term, it adds that filter up here. And we can look at all of this breakdown as well. So, okay, over the last 3 months, 143 people have typed in the term Udemy revenue and come to the site. But you can cut down even more. 82 of those clicks were from the US. So I can isolate to just the US. Okay, cool. What devices? Okay, wow. 65 clicks on just desktop. And then search appearance, node data. We could change all these as well. So you can click down here anywhere you like, but it really just moves the filters around up top. You could change it to a different country or just get rid of it entirely. I could do other things as well. Like let's say, remove all this. I say, okay, show me everything, but on the country level, compare me US versus India. Okay, so that last example for Course-Minded didn't have any results under search appearance. So if your site is ready for rich results, right? These are some of the features in the knowledge graph box on the right-hand side of Google's results. It'll show you here whether or not you have some of those options, right? So sometimes Google is able to understand how your site is laid out and turn it into either rich results or web light results, kind of a faster version of AMP. They'll show you that data here if it's relevant. So one of the most valuable things you can do in the performance section is use it as a guiding light to make some optimization. So let's go ahead and activate all these: clicks, impressions, click-through rate, and position. And what we can do is come down here and take a look at how things are performing and make a note of it, right? So again, we're on search queries here. We could jump to pages, countries, devices, or search appearance, but we're going to stick with queries. And the basic idea is we want to be looking for pages that are ranking high but have a low click-through rate, or pages that are ranking low but have a high click-through rate, right? And the idea there is if our pages are ranking high but not getting a lot of clicks, we should make optimizations to increase those clicks, right? And the inverse is if our pages are ranking low, but they're still getting more clicks than they should be, that's an even bigger opportunity for us to make some optimizations to pull it up into the top 5 or number 1 result and make even more, right? So in general, it's really going to depend on your industry and what you're going after. In general, I like to use a guiding light of 5%, right? So if you're under 5%, there's likely a problem, and you should take a look at that. Again, this is kind of side project data. It's sort of dummy data, but here might be one example. Okay, position 5 for this term, 4% click-through rate. That's actually, borderline. I wouldn't put that at the top of my priority list, but there's probably some things we could do to increase that. What's more likely the issue is that it's ranking too low, right? That's about in the right ballpark. This is obviously a branded term, so that isn't as helpful. Position 2, 11%, that's looking okay. Position 6, 10%, that's actually pretty interesting. So I think this click-through rate would jump up significantly if we move that up. So maybe we would go ahead and want to optimize that page there. And you can kind of go ahead and make these decisions. And again, if something is looking extremely low, you're going to want to look at that. Yeah, this is very, very low, but it's because it's position 25. We can set filters as well. So what if we said, okay, position smaller than 11, right? Meaning only show me things that are in the top 10. So now we're only seeing things that are in the top 10, and we can take a look from there. We can also do other kinds of filtering as well. Take off position, but only show me things smaller than 5%. And so now I have a list of queries where all of my clicks are under 5%. And if I sort by position, right, then I start to see some serious problems. So you can play with this a lot. There's a lot you can do here. Just turn these filters off for now. And then you can also switch over to pages. So again, there's another you can navigate through here on the top navigation. You can also jump into individual terms and see the pages that are ranking for that term. Right, so you can jump into this page and get more details on this page. And you can see again all the filters up here change as well. So web search, last 3 months, here's the term, here's the page, and you can dive in more if you'd like.